Do you know what? I think for both of us, everything about this film was an extraordinary mix of great challenge and great privilege. In the process of prepping, we went to a clinic, an ALS clinic in London, and met many people who are suffering from this disease and their families, and the emotional, as well as sort of studying the physical decline. It was also about understanding the specifics of the emotional consequences of this disease. But really, when you meet Stephen, he just has this kind of overwhelmingly funny character. It's extraordinary sort of incisive wit and a sense of mischief, and so we knew that the script that Anthony had written was a human story, was a love story, and that for all the work that we had to do, our homework as far as the physical side of it was concerned, that the emotional side of it was the core.
And how about for you? You have to carry so much of the dialogue is you leading, and then Eddie as Stephen reacting. So did that you feel that weight on you is carrying that part of the movie?
Yes. I mean, we both just felt a responsibility to Jane and Stephen, because they are extraordinary people and what they've been through, and wanting to bring all the truth and nuance of their relationship. So a lot of that came from watching documentary footage of them meeting carers and patients, seeing what that's like, just trying to understand that relationship and that dependence on each other. And actually, Eddie and I, we both have worked in the theatre and like to have lots of rehearsal time. We're really lucky. James Marsh gave us months of time to prepare and time to just be in a room together and make loads of mistakes and make a fool out of ourselves and not feel like we were going to be judged for that. So it was just building up trust with each other, and but all the time this story is about a relationship. It's about a couple trying to make their marriage survive in these very complicated circumstances.
I do think, having seen it now for a second time, that you really can't miss this the complicity between the two of you. It's just wonderful in so many scenes, and so much goes on just between a glance between the two of you, and that it feels like it has to have been a real thing that's going on. And maybe that is the rehearsal, or talk about that a little bit.
Both of us, we've known each other for a long time, which was a wonderful thing. We both started in a little theatre in London called the Donmar Warehouse, and there was a wonderful man there called Michael Grandage, who was a great supporter of both of ours. And we've never been, I can't speak. We've never been in a play together, but we'd seen each other's work and what it meant. So we'd been friends, and so when we got cast together, there was this wonderful. There was a friendship there already, and then we had similar ways of working. But the thing that became really interesting was, as we spent time with people suffering from ALS, this notion of dance became a big part of it, because when I was trying to learn the physicalities, because I didn't want this to be a story about an illness, I wanted to make sure that the physicality was so specifically embedded that when we came to filming, I wasn't even having to think about it. So I learnt it almost like dance. So because when you sort of start by learning steps, you don't really know what you're doing, but once you've got them in your body, you can just be expressive within those confines. And similarly, when we met the carers and the patients, so often, because it's a symbiosis, because they rely on each other, there is they become one body almost, and so we spent a lot of time working together so we would entirely sort of trust each other, but also be able to do instinctive things. There's a beautiful moment in a documentary about Stephen's life where Stephen is in the garden with Jane and the kids, and Jane's having a conversation, and his head just falls down, and she's not even looking, but she just gently goes and pushes his head whilst continuing the conversation back in, and it's this sixth sense quality which we try to work on.
Yeah, we just came across it all the time. You see this incredible ability for these couples to adapt to these situations. And there's actually another moment in one of the documentaries about Stephen when Stephen, one of his carers, is feeding Stephen champagne on a spoon, and so we would see moments like that and think we need to put that in the film. So there's a bit when Jonathan Stephen and Jane, Jonathan's playing the piano, and so Eddie and I would say, let's have that moment, put that in the film. So taking the things that you see in real life and to give it as much texture as possible in the playing of it.
One of the things that's interesting to me about the way the story's told is that it's based on Jane's memoir, right? And she's written this after they've divorced and after he's left her, essentially, right, for his nurse. But it doesn't feel like there's nothing vengeful that feels, about this. It just, you see her incredible devotion to him. And so you almost wonder, where's that peace? And did you talk about that, or is that deliberately not in the story?
Well, we both felt that actually, when Stephen and Jane, the Stephen and Jane we play, when they break up, it's in the spelling board scene. That's the moment when something in the relationship is broken and they can't carry on anymore. They've survived so much, and then at that point, she's trying to hold up this silly board, and the profundity of this incredibly intelligent man who will no longer be able to speak is just incredibly overwhelming for both of them. But it's their relationship's just reached a point it just can't carry on anymore. So actually, when they do break up later on, it's much more that there's a letting go of each other, and what they're having to do when Stephen says he's going to America with Jane is both acknowledge, which is the painful moment for them, that it's over, and that's the hardest thing is to let each other go when they've just been so dependent on each other.